Welcome, everybody. On your Do Now, I wanted you thinking about how our government treats criminals before they're arrested, during their arrest, after. Do you think this is a fair system for all criminals? Right? How we treat them, and if so, what's good about it, and also what's not so good about it. So we're going to start class with lots of questions. I want you to type your responses on the Pear Deck. Really get into the why or why not. Explain your thinking and your opinion as we go through these questions. So I'm going to pause, or you should pause this video as you answer all these Pear Deck related questions. All right, so today we're going to start learning about what we call the rights of the accused. This is going to be a collection of uh, lots of amendments, but we're still in the Bill of Rights. We're going to talk about how we protect against tyranny. All right, so I want you thinking how much does tyranny impact you? How much does the government abuse of power impact you directly on a day-to-day basis? And it's probably going to be hard to come up with specific examples of government officials abusing their power against just you specifically. Because most often the tyranny that we might experience is systematic. It's affects everybody, and we are just one of the people who are impacted. Rarely does the government go after you individually. So who is at risk? If it's not you, who is being attacked by the government and being abused? Well, the time when the government has the most power over you is when they're accusing you of a crime. When they've accused you of something, suddenly they're now allowed to arrest you and punish you. That's a lot of power. A lot of power the government has. And if they're not checked, that's very easy to abuse that power, right? Because if I wanted to, I could come up with um, criminal activity on anybody, right? I could accuse anybody of a crime. Even if it's not even true, you could accuse it and start punching people. This is a huge amount of power. So when they wrote the Constitution, they wanted to make sure that when accusing someone of a crime, there are a lot of rules the government has to follow. We call these rules the rights of the accused. Right? And another way of saying this is due process. So these are the protections, the process the government has to go through before you can be accused of a crime, arrested, and punished for that crime. Right? There's certain steps the government has to do, and there's lots of protections that people have every step along the way. So we're going to start with the Fourth Amendment. This deals with your rights and freedoms before you're arrested. When you're being accused of a crime, the police have to have a warrant to search your property. They're not allowed to just search. They need to go to a judge and say, here's our reasons for why we think this person is a criminal. Here's the crimes we think they did, and here's why we think they did them. Then they have to argue to the judge, we need to search their house because of this. They have to have very specific reasons why they're searching. They can't just say, yeah, I think this person's a criminal. I want to search their house. No, they have to have evidence that they are a criminal, and then they have reason to think there will be more evidence inside the home. And the judge has to approve it. All right, so they have to have a warrant to go into your property, to tap your phone, to listen to your phone calls, stuff like that. They need to have a warrant from a judge, and those warrants are very specific. If they don't have a warrant and they start collecting evidence, all that evidence gets thrown out. If they collected evidence illegally, they can't use it against you. Now, there is some limits to this, what we call probable cause, right? If a police officer sees you shoot someone and then you run into your house, they can follow you into your house. They have to have probable cause. Now, they're going to have to go argue to a judge after the fact why that was okay. The judge still has to approve it, but they can do it after the fact if they think that it's like an emergency or it's a time sensitive thing and they have probable cause. All right, the Fourth Amendment extends to your car and extends to your person, what you have physically on you. Now, if a cop was walking by your car and they look in and they can see something, right, that's not protected by Fourth Amendment. Like if you have your windows open and they can see in there, then that's you showing them, right? If you welcome a police officer into your house, they can look around. Now, they can't go searching stuff, but if you welcome them into the door, they can kind of look and see what's going on, all right? So they can't search, though, without a warrant. This is where we get what we call our right to privacy. Next, we have the Fifth Amendment. This is your rights when being accused of a crime, when you're being arrested. You can't be sent to jail without being charged in court. They have to officially take you to court and tell you what you're being charged with. They can't just throw you in jail and say, "Oh, we're going to accuse you of a crime later. We'll get to you like 5 years from now." No, they have to explain to you why you were arrested. Um, this also has the right to no self-incrimination, meaning you don't have to talk if you don't want to. They can't make you talk. There's also no double jeopardy. Double jeopardy is when they try to accuse you of the same crime twice. So if they accuse you of something and you're found not guilty, they can't accuse you of that same crime again. Now, if you commit the crime again, they can charge you for you doing it the second time. But once they've accused you and brought you to court and you've been found not guilty, they can't accuse you of that same exact crime again. Sixth Amendment, you have the right to a speedy trial. They have to do it in a timely manner. They can't just prolong it forever. You have the right to a jury trial, meaning a collection of people from your community will decide if you're guilty or not the government. The average people decide if you're guilty or innocent. You have the right to an attorney, someone to defend you. You have the right to present evidence in your defense, and you have the right to cross examine and question people who are accusing you of a crime. These two together are often read as you're being arrested, what we call your Miranda rights. They tell you your rights, they have to tell you as well. Seventh Amendment is that your lawsuits can be heard by a jury. Instead of a judge deciding, you can let a jury decide your lawsuit. Eighth Amendment says when it's time for you to be punished, you cannot be punished in a cruel and unusual way. Now, what does cruel and unusual mean? I don't know. We as a society have to decide what that is. But these are your protections as you're being charged with a crime, you're in court, and then punished. We'll switch back to the Pear Deck. Would you add another right if you could? And last, to what extent do these rights of the accused actually prevent tyranny? So this should be a longer response, like a level 3.